Get ready because a lot of cities are launching free grant money right today. Hey everybody, this is LALATE with a second stimulus check and stimulus package update today with great, exciting, big news, our biggest news of the week about rent assistance. There are big new rent assistance plans across the country in cities and counties we never heard of. We have been telling you to Google and look them up, and boy, we did not even know them ourselves. Two of them we're going to detail today are one right here in Los Angeles County has a rent assistance program, and it's live today and it ends today. And Chattanooga, Tennessee as well has one you need to apply for. So let's get right to it. I mean, we have been telling you all week long to please look up grant, rent, words about rent assistance or rent programs in your city, county, and state, places of worship, or anything that you are aligned or associated with. And we did it today, and we were just shocked. There's one right here. I mean, who would have known? I mean, we have been doing that as well for our hazard pay videos and found those programs as well. But let's get right to it. If you are in LA, if you are a landlord or tenant affected by the COVID-19 pandemic and prevent displacement of renters, they have a citywide emergency rental assistance subsidy program, which was created by the City Councilman Presidents Nuñez and Martez at HCDLA in support of the mayor. It's currently live, but it is live today, which is a Friday, and it ends today. So Los Angeles Emergency Renters Assistance Subsidy Program will provide a temporary rent subsidy for eligible residential tenants in the city of Los Angeles who are unable to pay rent due to COVID-19 pandemic issues. So it's only the city of LA, not the county. The subsidy will be a grant of up to $1,000 per month to cover monthly lease rent, with a maximum of $2,000 per household. Really great news. I mean, this is incredible. The rent subsidy will be paid directly to the landlords on behalf of the tenant's basis. So even easier. You don't have to worry about paying the money. It goes right to the landlord. How does it work? Residents of Los Angeles, I almost did that word you hate, regardless of immigration status, can apply. They go to neighborhoodinfo.lacity.org and they can provide proof of tenancy. How is it calculated? Household annual income must be 80% lower than at or below 80% of the average median income level prior to the COVID-19 crisis. That means that a household, I can't read this graph, but there's basically a graph on the table. When I went to go print it out, it's not legible. But you have to make a certain amount of income levels or less per year to qualify for the grant. And if you do, then you'll get this grant. July 17th, the day of this recording, is the last day to apply for the Los Angeles Emergency Renters Assistance Subsidy Program, which closes at 11:59 p.m. tonight. You can apply online. You can also call a hotline number, 844-944-1868. I will include this in the descriptions of the video. Between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. tonight, people of hearing impairment can call 844-325-1398. The program's open to all residents. If you're not in Los Angeles, you're watching this video, I want you to stay with me because this is what I've been talking about. There are all these rent programs across the country, and you need to really look them up. Some people have been dropping in the comments, hey, is there one in my city? Can you go look it up for me? I love you to death, but I'm not your Google. Google loves you more than me. So Google it. Don't ask me. I'm not Google. If I was Google, I probably would, have a nicer backdrop. So don't ask me, hey, is there a rent program in, Springfield, Missouri? No, I just don't know, You got to do the work for that. I'm sorry. The subsidy will provide a grant of up to $1,000 per month with a maximum of $2,000. It's providing it to 180,000 applicants and has enough funding for 50,000 households. So this one's a lot of people. Kevin Lee, who's a longtime viewer of this channel, who I did magic for on EIDL loans this week, he was my great reference point for the grants and rent. He knew he was going to have a rent problem. He admitted in the comments, I'm having a rent problem. He found that there was a rent program in Texas. He applied for the rent program in Texas. It's a citywide rent program. It's not across the entire state. It was on the local news. It wasn't something I covered, but I told him to go look for it. He found it. He applied. He got approval. It helped him make rent literally to the last moment. This is before I got him his incredible EIDL loan just days ago. This was about a month ago. So please look for these things. And all these things have requirements. This one here for Los Angeles, you must live in a multi-family residential unit in the city of Los Angeles. You must have household income below a certain level. You must have documentation that you suffered a loss because of COVID-19. So just because you can't pay rent is not enough. You have to show that it's because of COVID-19. And the reaction has just been overwhelming today. We know people throughout the city of Los Angeles need assistance, particularly our working poor and disenfranchised communities who are hardest hit by the health and economic impacts of COVID-19, says the council president. Demand will be high and serve as a reminder that the federal government must offer billions of housing assistance if we're going to keep on helping those who are in need during and after this pandemic. I mean, it's great news. It's $103 million. Now, if you're in Tennessee, there's another one as well. Chattanooga, Tennessee, they have one. And it started in March, and the program is designed specifically to help households who've had their income impacted by COVID-19. If you're furloughed, laid off, direct impact, you can apply for rent assistance. It's a grant, so they don't have to pay it back. We're able to pay up to 3 months of rent. Wow. 3 months. And 3 months of utilities, says Donna Williams, the Department of Economic and Community Development in Tennessee. The city says they have 1,300 applicants so far. I mean, Chattanooga is a smaller town than Los Angeles, and 100 people have been processed as well. We are finding that of the 1,398 people, is a fair amount of them ineligible because they don't live inside the program. The grant has $185,000. So that shows you a smaller town. I mean, I just showed you Los Angeles, hundreds of millions of dollars, but Chattanooga, they only have about $850,000. So what I want you to understand, though, is that these programs are just everywhere, and they're supposed to be everywhere. So what is he talking about? Well, when the CARES Act passed, the first stimulus package back in May, it proposed for local cities and states and counties to get money to help its citizens. Well, this is that money. They're finally allocating the money. I don't know what's taking them so long. I mean, that's another discussion. That they're finally allocating this money back to you. These states made arguments to the president, to the Democrats, the Republicans during the first stimulus package that we need money to give it back to our citizens because they can't make rent, they can't make utilities. Well, here's the money. They launched one yesterday in New York. That was Cuomo, Governor Cuomo, lobbying the president for months to say, give me money for my people, my state. And now they have that money. And so they're spending that money. So if you live in a state, county, or city and you are impacted by COVID-19, cannot pay rent, start going looking for it because it may be out there. Here was one in LA. I did not even know about it. So let's get to the federal program. Next week, we're going to see what happens with the federal program. This one is a lot more comprehensive, a lot more money, a lot of everything across the board. The federal grant program proposes to give you grant money despite wherever you live, how you live, or why you live that way, and to give you that money if you're impacted by COVID-19 from now all the way into 2021. People who are opposing the bill or people who are pissed about the bill say it's a little bit too late, that people have been displaced and are going to be homeless by the time the bill's passed. We certainly do have that issue. But the great news is that it would help everyone in the food chain. First, you wouldn't be displaced after the bill's passed. Second, you would have rent and utilities paid right to the rent and utilities for you. Third, the landlord wouldn't lose their property. They would actually be getting their rent. So they would actually getting their rent to pay their bills. Next, it would prevent everything being done against properties. So it would prevent foreclosures. It would prevent mortgage calls. If you own your property and you're worried about not being able to make mortgage, it will protect you. If you own your apartment building, you're afraid of going into foreclosure because you aren't getting rent from your tenants and you can't make your bills, it would protect you. All these protections are in the bill. That is part of the HEROES Act, which is currently in the Senate from the House, written by Democrats. There's a lot of other bills out there, though. There's Senator Warren's plan that proposes really bigger, sweeping protections into late next year. Basically, she doesn't want anyone to be made homeless. She does not want anyone to be made homeless because of this pandemic, which is really quite wonderful. Then you have the Republicans. And not to be partisan, but we simply just don't know what they're thinking. We don't know what they're thinking, and come this Monday, we will. As this channel has been reporting, Stevie Mnuchin and Mitchie McConnell are finally proposing in a dog and pony show roadshow next week, releasing to press their second stimulus package. They have been working on the sides behind closed doors several weeks to come up with the second stimulus package on behalf of the Republicans. They say they have. And they say they're going to release it to members of press, not introduce it as a bill because Congress is closed, come early next week. So will there be a rent assistance program in that bill? I don't know. They haven't talked about it. And as I've said to you, one of the people who have really not served you well has been broadcast news. They have really not asked Republicans when they get them in a corner and ask them questions. What do you think about hazard pay? What do you think about rent assistance? They keep on talking about FPUC and $600 of unemployment because they understand that. Well, how about everything else out there? And they seem to not get questions right. They seem to not know what questions to ask. So I don't know, as I sit here right today, what Stevie and Mitchie are going to do with you on rent assistance. We do know that Stevie and Mitchie want to have protections for landlords so you don't sue them. I mean, how out of touch is that? People who are being put on the street that are homeless and are losing their homes and losing their jobs and being homeless, do you think they have time to go sue people? No. And then why would you, oh boy, I'm so on the edge about to rant right now. Okay, maybe I'll go there. Why would you talk about protecting the landlord about being sued if they're opening during the pandemic as a frontline essential place of work, but not talk about hazard pay? Yeah, doesn't make sense, Stevie and Mitchie. You can't say I'm going to protect the essential worker's place of work for the landlords for not being sued, but I'm not going to give any help to the actual worker that works in the building. I think this is all going to sort of flush out very interestingly as we come into late July, when the two bills are basically argued in both houses. Mitchie and Stevie's bill has to go to the Senate, to go to the House, to Nancy's house, where she's going to pull out her meat cleaver and scissors and really start chopping away at it. And then the HEROES Act, which is currently in the Senate, is going to get, tarred and feathered by Mr. McConnell and his group. So we're going to see a lot of discussions. We're going to see a lot of changes. I want you to stay positive. I want you to stay motivated. But ultimately, what I want you to do is call your most favorite trusted friend, Google, and start looking up grant and rent assistance programs in your place. So go to Google, pull up your phone. If you don't have a computer, pull up your phone and say, on every phone you now have these assistances at the front, whether it's Siri or Android's assistants. Free rent in LA, and just talk on the phone and it'll come back with a result. I mean, that's how I did it. I didn't talk, but I typed it. But it's the same thing. It will come back with results. If it doesn't and gives Swedish chef's recipe for Swedish meatballs, like, wait a second, I didn't ask for that. That means that there is no such thing there. But I want you to understand that you need to ask and keep asking. Is it in your city? Is it in your county? Is it in your state? And it may be there, and it may be expiring today, as it is the case in Los Angeles. If you have questions in today's video, like and subscribe to this video. Drop your comments below. Stay positive, stay motivated, and as always, stay FLA for more.